All right, welcome. My name is Hasard. I'm an F-35 fighter pilot for the Air Force. Today we're going to be talking about how fighter pilots go to the bathroom in the air. All right, let's get into it. So, as fighter pilots, we are in a cramped cockpit. So a modern fighter doesn't have any extra fat. So I flew the F-16 for 6 years before transitioning over to the F-35. The F-16 is a stripped down hot rod that was designed back in the 70s to dogfight. So every ounce of weight that was extraneous was seen as an extra ounce that the enemy could use against you. So what they did is they made the cockpit extremely small. I think the average height it was designed for was 5'10". I'm 6'2", 210 pounds. So getting in the cockpit, I'd really have to kind of scrunch down to see the HUD with my survival vest on and my LPU, my life preserver, in case I have to eject over the water. I couldn't even really turn around behind me. So there's not a lot of room in these jets. Looking forward, you have your MFDs in the F-16, multifunction displays. In the F-35, you have what's called the panoramic cockpit display, essentially two large iPads in front of you. And then you have an instrument console that goes between your legs. So on the ground, it can actually be pretty claustrophobic in there. But in the air, you don't feel that claustrophobia at all. We call it strapping the jet on your back. So you really feel like you are merged with the machine and you're just one entity out there, which is awesome. You have a lot of situational awareness. You really feel merged with the aircraft. You have all the buttons and switches on the stick and throttle. We call it hands-on throttle and stick, so HOTAS. And you can really do everything there because we are pulling upwards of 9 Gs, 9 times the force of gravity. So weighing 210 pounds, 240 with my gear on, that's over 2,000 pounds of force squeezing you in the seat. So you have to be able to reach everything just with your fingers because you don't have the strength to actually reach up and touch the screen under those hard maneuvers. So what this means is the jet is extremely capable, but unfortunately we don't have a bathroom in there. And so that's where the Piddle Pack comes in. So the Piddle Pack is a bag that we take with us. Typically we'll take several. And it is filled with absorbent beads in there. So it almost looks like laundry detergent. And you will unzip the flight suit from the bottom so we can zip it down from the top or unzip it from the bottom specifically for this. And you can pee into the Piddle Pack. The absorbent beads turn into gel so it won't splash around and spill. And then you seal up the top and you put it into a little compartment in the jet. Now, typically our training flights are only about an hour and a half. So for those, I don't use a Piddle Pack. You can typically wait until after the flight. But when I was flying in Afghanistan, we were having sorties as long as 8 hours. So the key to success here is figuring out a time when you're not going to be busy, when you can be straight and level for several minutes, because it does take a lot of work. It sounds simple in theory, but it's pretty tricky to do, especially when you're flying a supersonic jet aircraft. So you have to do it during a non-tactical phase of flight. So what I would do is I would wait until we were off to the tanker. So we have airborne tankers that are essentially hollowed out airliners filled with fuel, and that extends our endurance indefinitely. So whenever I'd hit tanker joker, which is the fuel we need to go off and refuel, I would set the autopilot. We have a real basic autopilot in the F-16, just altitude hold. And then I would relieve myself, refuel, and then spend the time going back to the op, regaining my situational awareness of what was going on. Now, we have a brevity radio call, so typically when we go out and fly, we will be a 4-ship or sometimes a 2-ship. And so we will number everybody in accordance with their flight position numbers. So if I'm leading the formation, I'll be 1. 3 is typically a flight lead as well, and then 2 and 4 are the inexperienced wingmen. And so the brevity call, in case you need to go to the bathroom, would be racehorse. So I would say 1's racehorse. That means that I'm not going to be able to maneuver very well. I'm probably going to not be able to answer the radio call, so 3 is going to pick up the slack for me. And then when I'm done, I'll say 1's complete, and then we're good to go. Now, since I've been in the Air Force for the last 10 years, there have been a couple new initiatives. One of them is the AMX. It's a special set of undergarments that essentially has a jock strap in it attached to a vacuum. So you don't have to unstrap, you just turn on the vacuum, and then you go, and the vacuum takes care of the rest. I've never been a fan of this because it's complicated. There are a lot of parts. There's a lot of preparation, a lot of cleanup, but I think one of the biggest benefits is for women. It can be very difficult to do the old school method, so that makes it a lot easier for them. In the F-35, there's the buckle that's right in front. It makes it a lot more difficult than the F-16 to go to the bathroom. So I think a lot more pilots are transitioning to the new system. So there you go. That's how we relieve ourselves in a modern fighter like the F-16 or the F-35. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe. If you have questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to them. Other than that, talk to you next time.